It revealed earlier today that out of the almost 7,000 people killed during this period, over 1,000 were women and children.
Out of the people killed during this reporting period, 881 were women and 293 were children. 35 police officers were killed on and off duty between July and September 2023, as well as 19 law enforcement officers attached on national, provincial and local government, as well as private security.
For more on those numbers, let's speak now to Chad Thomas, crime expert and CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations. Chad, good to have you. Thank you very much for your time. Contract crimes up 2.1%, sexual assault 35.9% down, it seems. And some of the subcategories that we are looking at, car hijacking also going up, robbery at residential premises also going up. Is this a picture that is telling us of a South Africa that has got mental issues, maybe, that need to be dealt with? Or is it a picture that is telling us of police who've lost the war on violent crimes?
There's a myriad of factors that are contributing to these crime statistics. Look, where we're sitting right now, we're at the highest murder rate in the past decade. Despite the fact that there's been a very, very small decrease in murders, it's just under 7,000 for the last 90-day period, whereas last year this time it was just over the 7,000 mark. The fact remains is we're an exceptionally violent society. And that comes down to the root cause of zero consequence, zero accountability. And we can't lay the blame squarely at the feet of the South African police services. Our entire criminal justice system has experienced immense difficulties the past few years and have been hollowed out. So when you hear about force multipliers and you hear about police saturating certain areas and taking on certain criminals, we forget that although we're seeing the men in blue making the arrests, it's the men behind the scenes that have to investigate these crimes to make them prosecutable. And we short 8,000 veteran detectives in this country. That means that the detectives that we currently have in the police detective services and in the Hawks are working far more dockets than they should. And this, of course, has a knock-on effect with the NPA. You have prosecutors working far more dockets than they should. We have too few courtrooms, too few court days, and too few presiding officers. What this means is that we're seeing the same criminals being released. Every time we hear of a major police takedown through intelligence-driven investigations, we invariably hear that the people arrested are out on bail from previous cases. And this is as a direct result that our people are overworked within the detective services and within the prosecutorial services.
So the ministry is saying it is a fact that majority of the people killed in South Africa are murdered during arguments, misunderstandings and provocations that usually take place in social setting. Arguments, vigilanteism and robbery are the top 3 motives for murders. What strategies do you use then?
Well, we've seen that Premier Lesufi is now restricting, limiting and outright stopping the issuing of liquor licenses for a period of time. This is just going to drive the sales of liquor underground, increase organized crime, and increase a already volatile situation that we see playing out in shebeens and taverns throughout townships and informal settlements throughout the country. The fact remains is that the people that are there that are getting drunk, that are now using this situation to vent their frustrations, to vent their anger, they may not have the necessary self-control that they would normally have, are now using firearms, they're using sharpened instruments, they're using bottles, they're using knives, and arguments are spiraling out of control and people are getting killed. But we can't blame this on a social circumstance. You know, people drink throughout the world. There are taverns, there are bars, everywhere in virtually every country of the world. So it comes down to the social fabric of our society at this point in time, and the fact that people feel that they can get away with crime simply because the system is letting us all down. And the system is under severe strain. The system can be turned around. You can see that the police are attempting to make inroads through Operation Chanela. But what happens when Operation Chanel is a success? Our prisons are already at 146% capacity. Where are we going to house all these prisoners? That's if they get convicted, because we don't have enough court days and court rooms for all these hearings. So we have to look at this from a holistic perspective. We can't just expect more policemen on the ground to make more arrests for these crimes to be prevented. We have to find the root cause. And of course, then we're going to start talking about things such as poverty, unemployment, and other social fabric issues. But this is going to have to be a generational change. But it starts by capacitating our police, but not just those in blue, those behind the scenes that are investigating crimes, and also capacitating our National Prosecuting Authority so that they have the means and the power to prosecute these criminals.
Yeah, you've got, I suppose, two sides to this story. Those who are saying the leadership of the police is failing dismally to fight crime and put in place strategies to curb and eradicate crime. And then you've got the other end, Chet, as you're saying. It's not just the police, it's the whole entire system. There are socio-economic issues that also need to be dealt with. It's the justice system that also needs to come on board. So it's other sectors as well that need to make the economy grow, get people in jobs, and all those things would work. But there's obviously some truth somewhere in the middle in terms of what the leadership in the police currently is doing and what they need to do better.
Look, Operation Chanel has produced results. We've seen massive takedowns, specifically with regards to organized crime. There's been major drug busts in the last couple of weeks. There's been busts of online pornography rings. The police are working. The unfortunate part is criminals are also working. Criminals are one step ahead. We've got about 180,000 police officers in South Africa. With a population of 60 million known people and the numbers of illegal immigrants unknown, so we could be as high as 65, 67 million people in South Africa, the amount of police per capita is wholly insufficient. So we need to increase those figures. We need to make sure that all the support functions and resources are placed at the disposal of not just the South African Police Services, but also the National Prosecuting Authority and Departments of Correctional Services. One must remember that if people are being released, they're going to carry on committing crimes. If they're not going to be prosecuted successfully, they think they're going to get away with it. And this leads to this culture where there's a belief of no consequences, therefore no accountability.
Let's take a break. Chad, we'll come back and wrap up the conversation. Chad Thomas, still with Chad Thomas, crime expert and CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations. Chad, as we wrap up the conversation, a significant drop in contact sexual offenses, a decline of 35.9%. Does this mean that our domestic violence and sexual offenses related programs are beginning to bear fruit and that there is now, to some extent, the kind of sensitivity that is required in terms of the staff, but also the causes, as well as victim empowerment programs are beginning to take effect?
Look, that figure is a very strange anomaly. If one looks at the amount of reported rapes, it was around about the 10,600 mark, and we're now talking about other sexual-related crimes having a reduction. And a significant reduction at that. I think there's an anomaly there. I'm not sure whether it's the way statistics are being captured or the way crimes are being registered on the police care system. But GBV and any sexual-related crime in South Africa is a massive concern. We're seeing an increase in murders across the board. Despite that small reduction these past 90 days, we're at the highest rate we've been in the past 10 years. We look at about 45 murders per 100,000 people. When it comes to rape, of course, we have the most shocking statistics worldwide, and GBV violence, we have some of the worst statistics coming out. Again, a lot of this is being blamed on social relationships, and they're saying that a lot of these offenses are taking place in a setting either at the home of the perpetrator or the home of the victim, and again, we're seeing alcohol getting blamed. Alcohol, like I said earlier in this insert, is available throughout the world. We are sitting on a ticking time bomb where we have this culture of violence which is spiraling out of control. And that is why we need a capacitated detective service and National Prosecuting Authority that can send a clear message to these perpetrators of GBV, rape and murder that this will not be tolerated. Because South Africa itself is an anomaly when one looks at our statistics of rape, GBV, and murder.
That's Chet Thomas, the crime expert and CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations.